Al. How would you say you guys match up against the Warriors? I mean, knowing how they try to pass the ball around and try to find the open shooter, is it going to be tough trying to defend against them?
No question. They're a great team. Been doing this for a lot of years. The way that they move the ball, uh, the way that they play just presents a lot of problems. It's definitely a huge challenge for our group.
Second row on the right.
Hey, two quick ones. Just how's it feel to be here? You had this long journey to get to this point and a lot of moments where you felt just short. And then number two, it felt like this whole Celtics run kind of started with Marcus getting drafted. You joined a team that he was on. How have you just kind of seen him grow into the leader of this group in many ways?
Yeah, well, it feels great to be here. Just still soaking everything in, being here in San Francisco and being in the finals. It's something it's exciting. And then with Marcus, so happy for him, his resiliency, how he's continued to work and stay patient for his opportunities. And now him obviously being our starting point guard and leading us this way this year, winning Defensive Player of the Year. Just a lot of great things have come together. And, we're at the point that we want to be. And now we have a great opportunity in front of us.
First row, first seat.
Al, when you look back at December, things look bad with this team. Internally, how bad did it feel at that point? I know it's not one thing that pulled you out of it, but what are the things in your mind that pulled you out of it?
Well, there were several things, but in December, November, December, I feel like we were hit with the health and safety protocols and guys in and out of the lineup and different guys coming in and out, and us, Coach Udoka, new staff, new team, new group, us trying to figure things out. And I know the expectations were high, but things take time. And I remember talking about it back then. It's like, hey, we're working towards, something, and we have to be patient. And, a lot of the times we want things to happen fast, but it just doesn't happen that way. And for us, it took us, in my mind, it was like the end of January that I felt like, I was like, wait, I think, it's starting to come together. I think we have a chance. So, those days were very dark. Were very hard for us. But my whole thing was, let's just keep moving along, keeping things in perspective. It was very difficult. It was. But it was just like, let's just keep working. I believe in this group. I think, Coach Udoka believed in our group as well. And we just stayed at it eventually until finally we were able to, break through.
Fourth row on the right.
There you go. Hey, Al, this being your second tour of duty with the Celtics, obviously you're coming with a certain type of expectations. How have those expectations mirrored what you are dealing with from a reality standpoint? Like, has this been better than you thought it would be this year?
Once the trade happened here and everything, I texted with Jason a few times, and I told him that I was looking forward for us to being in these positions, this coming season, and I really believe that. When I shared that with him, I looked at our group. I saw the potential there. I already played with these guys before. I know what they're about, and I just knew that if we got it together, that we were going to have an opportunity. We were going to have a chance, and it's something that I believed from the beginning. And we just stayed at it, just continue to work. And obviously, in the season, you're not going to be talking about these things, but we talked about it before the season. I strongly believed it, and then throughout, we just kept at it, highs and lows, just continue to work, continue to stay solid, and it doesn't surprise me. I'm really, really happy, really grateful to be at this point with this group.
What do you remember about those early moments when the trade was a discussion point and then it started becoming more and more real? Those days in between when it was just something to talk about and becoming real, what were your emotions like? What were some of the things that were happening kind of behind the scenes that, kind of got you excited about the prospect of coming back to Boston for a second tour duty?
Yeah, so excitement for me, but then after that, I just kind of got off of it because I didn't want to think too much about it. And I was like, I'm just going to continue to work, do what I do. And then when I got the call from Brad, it was really, really exciting. I remember, I was driving home with my family from visiting my mom in Atlanta, and we got the call, and we're just all screaming in the car, just really, really excited, really, really grateful, and right away we're just making plans about heading back to Boston, doing the physical, doing all this stuff. So it was a really happy time for our family at that time, and especially for me because it's where I wanted to be. And yeah, that's that.
Third row in the middle.
Al, from the time you got drafted, I think what's been asked of centers or big men in the NBA has changed dramatically. You got to your time in Atlanta. When did you realize the league was headed in a different direction? And how have you been able to adapt? How have you been able to make sure that you're the kind of player that can stay on the floor?
So yeah, that's a really good question. I feel like the NBA has changed a couple times, the different ways I should say, since I've been in the league. And when I first got in, it was being played a certain way, more of a post-up bully ball kind of way. And then it started to shift a little bit, guys, center shooting mid-range a little bit more and things like that. I started to do that. And I remember going into my fourth year, our GM in Atlanta at the time, Rick's son, told me, he's like, hey, you're going to have to, it was actually after one of my injuries. I had a pec tear, and he was like, you're going to have to change the way that you play because, the game is physical that way. You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it that many years if you keep, because I was, very physical, trying to post up against these guys that had 20, 30 pounds on me and things like that. And he was like, you're going to have to start shooting, start practicing the corner threes. You got to start shooting it. You got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to start shooting that. I could already shoot the mid range a little bit. But he was like, start doing that. And then Danny Ferry came in a few years after that and started to change the whole culture in Atlanta. And they were very adamant about, with Coach Budenholzer at the time, for me to shoot threes and to get out there and practice, and did not judge me, just let me go out there and just shoot them away. And that was the way that I had to start to change my game in that way. And then it became more of, when I got to Boston with Coach Stevens, was like, okay, well, now you're going to handle the ball more at the top. You're going to make decisions, and you got to be able to stretch the floor out, but also you have to be able to roll to the basket. You have to be able to do different things. So for me, it was always keeping an open mind and understanding that this game continues to change. And if you don't change your game, then you almost become irrelevant, and you can't stay on the floor. So the challenge for me has been always finding ways to stay relevant, to be on the floor, find a way to be useful. And obviously a big part of that is defensively. And defensively, I went from guarding in the post and having to stop a guy like Dwight Howard or something like that, to starting to defend guys in the perimeter, having to switch, defend guys out there, prove myself, guard guys out there, guards coming in and out. And that's just the way that the game, that's how it's evolving. So that also entails preparing yourself physically, mentally, all those things, to be able to do those things on the floor.
Last question in the middle.
Yeah, sorry, I'll lean over for the mic. To take you away from the finals for a second, you mentioned Atlanta. You played for Darvin Ham there for 5 years. Just got the job with the Lakers. What are kind of your memories of him as a coach at that point? Did you see future head coach for him, and kind of what are they in for with him?
Absolutely, man. D Ham, that's one of my guys. Just so much respect for him. He was one of those guys in Atlanta that kind of took me under his wing. Actually, along with Kenny Atkinson, and both of those guys. But Darvin, extremely hard worker. We really got after it. He really challenged me to be better on the defensive end. Really challenged me to be a bit better player in general. Darvin is about as good a guy as you're going to see, and a big competitor. So extreme competitor. The Lakers are really lucky to have a guy like him, he's, he's the kind of guy that you want.